Hello, students and staff. This is Nurse Campbell. So, for the second week of the Wellness Challenge, we are doing meditation. And so, for that, I have a story about Iris the dragon, and she's going to show us how we can do some dragon breathing. So, stay tuned for that. It's online, so I couldn't really hold the book for you, so I just spoke through you and I'm showing you the pictures through here. So I hope you enjoy it. Bye. So today we are reading Catch a Falling Star, a tale from Iris the Dragon series. Once upon a time, not that long ago, there lived a boy called Fish. His family and friends had given him that nickname because more than anything else, he loved fly fishing. Fish lived with his mom and dad and his two younger sisters, Sophia and Samantha, in a big stone house on a hill overlooking a small lake. The lake flowed into a river that ran under an old bridge built of logs and rocks. Tall willow trees grew along the shore of the riverbank, and the river was alive with birds and animals. The bridge was Fish's favorite place. He spent many happy hours there practicing fly fishing and dreaming of the river's long, winding journey to the sea. He loved to see how far he could cast his line before it touched the rippling water below. This morning, Fish was feeling upset, but didn't know why. He had felt this way more and more lately, and it worried him. Again and again, he'd cast his line out across the water in the graceful arc that he had practiced so often, but he couldn't seem to get it right. He was getting more and more frustrated. Once again he tried, but the line just dropped down into the river and began drifting under the bridge. Fish tried to reel in his line, but it was stuck. He pulled harder, and at the end of his line came into view, he saw that he had caught something strange. When he pulled it closer, he realized it was a straw hat decorated with flowers. "I think you caught my hat," said a soft, gentle voice. Fish looked around quickly but didn't see anyone. All of a sudden, he heard a loud splash from under the bridge, and out swam a green dragon. "Who are you?" asked Fish, jumping back. "I'm Iris, a swamp dragon. I live in my cave under this bridge, and you took my hat right off my head while I was dozing on my veranda," said the dragon with a huge yawn. "But I've never seen you before," said Fish, examining Iris more closely. "You may not have noticed me," said Iris, "but I've often watched you fishing from this bridge. I must say you're getting very good, although those last few casts were a little shaky. Is something bothering you, Fish?" "Well, I guess so. I woke up really early this morning and couldn't get back to sleep, so I decided to come and fish. Most of the time I find it very peaceful here, but today I feel restless and keep thinking of other things. I just can't seem to get my cast right. It's making me really frustrated. But Iris, I didn't know there was a cave under this bridge. Can I see it?" "I can't show it to you, Fish. It's against dragon tradition. Our caves are secret, private places where we go to be alone and think. They are filled with books and treasures that we have collected from all over the world. But come and sit on this log and I'll tell you about myself." Fish and Iris settled on the log and sat quietly for a few minutes, listening to the river flowing by and to the sounds of the river animals waking up. Fish was beginning to feel more relaxed. "Iris," said Fish, "you don't really look like a dragon, you know." "But I am a dragon," said Iris. "Look, I even have wings. Although they're small, I can fly. You probably think that all dragons have big teeth and long, sharp claws and breathe fire. Well, some do, but I don't. I come from a family of green swamp dragons. We are actually very kind and gentle. Our symbol, or coat of arms, is the iris, a flower that stands for faith, hope, and courage. We try to live by those words. My favorite teacher, Dr. Socrates, taught me the rules that swamp dragons follow," explained Iris. "He is a very wise dragon." "Iris, I really like my teacher, Mr. Brooke, but I don't always get what he's saying," Fish replied. "Don't worry, Fish. Maybe I can help you. Hey, would you like to see some amazing places to fish? Jump on my back and I'll show you where they are," Iris said suddenly. Fish hesitated, but Iris seemed kind of friendly, and he very much wanted to see those places, so he climbed down from the bridge and onto her bumpy back. "Hold on to my ears, but try not to mess up my new hat. I've just made it," said Iris as she swam out into the river. Over the next few weeks, Iris and Fish became good friends. Every day after Fish finished his chores at home, he went down to the bridge to see Iris. Iris showed him the best places to fish and where the ripest berries grew along the shore. Sometimes they went swimming and diving with Iris's friends, Audie Otter and Madeline Frog, but some of their best times were just spent lying in the soft grass on the riverbank, looking up at the clouds and listening to the bees humming in the flowers. Fish felt a lot less confused and much happier just being with Iris. At the end of one hot summer's afternoon, Fish and Iris were resting on the riverbank. They had spent most of the day swimming and playing in the water with Audie Otter and Madeline Frog. Iris and Fish were both tired, but felt happy and relaxed. "Iris," said Fish, "sometimes my brain gets very busy and noisy, and then I get scared. Why is that?" "Our brains can get sick, Fish, just like the rest of our body. It's important to take care of our brains," Iris replied. "Do you know that we have to exercise the brain? I like to think of it as brain gym. I'm going to tell you my dragon secret for a healthy brain." "What sort of secrets?" asked Fish. "Well, did you know that picking berries exercises your brain?" "Not just picking berries, but picking them all sorts of ways. First with your right hand, and then with your left, or closing your eyes and feeling for them. Or, if you're really talented like me, picking them with your toes," boasted Iris. "Oh, Iris," giggled Fish, "you have really big feet, which makes it easier for you." "You just have to practice, and you will see how talented you can be too," said Iris. The summer holidays were coming to an end. The days were a little cooler, and sometimes there was an early morning mist on the lake. Very early one morning, Fish arrived at the bridge, just as the sun was rising. He sat down on a log outside of Iris's cave. When Iris heard him, she came right out. She noticed he seemed distracted. "What's worrying you, Fish?" she asked. "I'm thinking about going back to school next week, and it makes me feel nervous," Fish answered. "Why does it make you feel nervous?" asked Iris quietly. "I can't always understand what my teachers are saying, and then they get frustrated with me. The other kids sometimes laugh at me. I'm worried it might happen again this year," said Fish. "Do you often have trouble concentrating in class?" asked Iris. "I guess so," sighed Fish. "Mr. Brooke gave me a lot of extra help last year, but sometimes I still have trouble understanding. So my parents took me to see our family doctor, Dr. Tay. She talked to me for a long time. I had to do some sort of written tests. She told my parents that I should see a special doctor in the city, and maybe I would go to a clinic there for a while. That makes me feel really frightened." "I know how you feel, Fish, but sometimes we can't just solve all our problems by ourselves," said Iris. "Sometimes we need help from special people." "Don't worry, Fish. Lots of people are helping you and trying to make you feel better," explained Iris. "Now let's go and fish." The summer holidays were over and Fish went back to school. Every morning he waved goodbye to Iris from the school bus as it drove by the bridge. Every afternoon he went down to the bridge to tell Iris about his day. The first few weeks of school went well, but one afternoon Fish came to the bridge. "Iris, are you there?" he called impatiently. Iris was on the riverbank picking berries and fruit. She was busy getting her pantry filled with food for the winter. "I'm over here," said Iris. "Come and sit under this apple tree and have a nice juicy apple. How is school going? You look worried." "Iris, I can't seem to focus on what my new teacher, Miss Christie, is saying. I try, but it's so difficult. She thinks I want to disrupt the class." Iris looked at Fish. "How do you feel at school?" "Sometimes I feel worried and a little anxious and also afraid, and I don't know why," Fish tried to explain to Iris. "Maybe your brain is working too fast again. There are many things for you to think about at school. You need to help your brain slow down. Remember how relaxed you felt when we were laying on the riverbank, looking at the clouds and listening to the river? I'm going to teach you another way to relax your brain. You can do it anywhere, even at school. I call it dragon breathing. This special way of relaxing has been passed down from dragon generation to dragon generation. We use this skill when we are feeling stressed. It's fun and it really helps me relax and focus. Let's do it together and see if it helps you. Okay, fish, put your head back against the apple tree and make yourself comfortable. Now think happy thoughts. Think of how you feel when you're standing on the bridge in the early morning. Everything is so peaceful and calm. Are you ready to practice dragon breathing? Can I learn to breathe fire? Asked Fish, very excited. No, Fish, only dragons breathe fire. We don't do it often and have to be very careful that we don't set something on fire. You know, Fish, history has given us dragons a bad reputation. People think that we are bad and they're always trying to slay us for one reason or another, but most dragons are really kind and considerate. I know, Fish, said Iris. Dragons have big nostrils that we can breathe deeply and get ourselves under control quickly. When we are worried or afraid, our breathing is shallow, and this makes us anxious. Deep breathing helps us relax. Our brains need lots of oxygen to work properly. Okay, you try it. Keep your eyes closed and listen to the sound of the wind in the trees and the birds singing. Now breathe, feel your body relax, and your fears go away. After a few tries, Fish opened his eyes and smiled. How do you feel now? Asked Iris. Much better. Thanks, Iris, for helping me. I'll try and practice dragon breathing every day. Iris put a scaly paw on Fish's shoulder, patted it, and said, We'll practice together. Now you better get going. It's time for supper, and your parents will be wondering where you are. Fish left for school the next morning, hoping things would get better. He tried to relax as Iris has told him, but during class, he suddenly heard his teacher say, Fish, what are you thinking about? Your head seems to be in the clouds. You haven't finished your assignment. I really don't know what to do with you. You'll have to stay in during recess again. Miss Christie didn't mean to criticize, but she didn't know how to help Fish focus on his work. Fish heard some of the other children snicker, and he felt even more confused. He really did want to try, but why couldn't he keep his mind on what his teacher was saying? When he got home that afternoon, he jumped off the school bus and ran right down to the bridge. Iris, come quickly. I need your help. Where are you? He started kicking at the logs on the bridge and pacing up and down. Fish, I'm here, said Iris, coming up from under the bridge in a hurry. I don't want to go back to school ever again, said Fish, shaking all over. Iris was worried. She knew something very wrong was happening to her friend Fish. She knew his mental health was not quite right, and the stress of school was making it worse. She thought it might be time for him to see a psychiatrist, a special doctor who is trained to help children with mental health challenges. Fish, do you think you need someone special to help you? I know you were worried about going to the city to see another doctor, but I think you should tell your parents that you would like to go. It will help you. What do you think, Fish? I don't know, Iris. Will the doctor be like your wise dragon teacher, Dr. Socrates? Asked Fish thoughtfully. Just as wise and friendly, I'm sure. Talk to your parents tonight and see what they say, and I'll talk to Dr. Socrates and ask him what he thinks, encouraged Iris. That night, after dinner, Fish's father saw that Fish was worried. Are you having trouble at school again, Fish? He asked. Miss Christie telephoned me today to say that she was concerned about you. I guess I am, Dad. I talked to my friend Iris the dragon, and she thinks I should go and see the doctor in the city. I think maybe she's right. She's going to talk to her dragon teacher, Dr. Socrates, and ask him what he thinks, Fish replied. Well, said Fish's father, looking at Fish's mother, I think you and this Iris the dragon friend of yours have made a good decision. See what Dr. Socrates says, and we'll make an appointment to go and talk to the specialist Dr. Tay suggested we see. Next morning, Fish went down to the bridge to tell Iris what he had told his parents. Iris greeted him and said, "Fish, I spoke to Dr. Socrates last night, and he thinks it is important that you go and see the doctor in your city with your parents. He said that getting help from specially trained doctors is a good idea." Soon the day came for Fish and his parents to visit the psychiatrist, the special doctor in the city. They had never been to a clinic before, and they were all a bit nervous. Iris watched them drive away and hoped that everything would be all right. She spent the day in her cave, checking her books to see what they said about mental health challenges. It was late when Fish returned, but he came right to the riverbank looking for Iris. "How are you, Fish?" asked Iris as soon as she saw him. "I'm okay, Iris," Fish answered, "but I'm really tired. It was a long appointment. The doctors and nurses asked me and my parents lots of questions. They took us on a tour of the clinic. They think it's a good idea for me to stay there for a while. They say it will help me understand why sometimes I feel the way I do, and help my brain get better. I've decided to go after the winter holidays." "I know it will help you, Fish. Life is like our river here. It travels a long way, with many twists and turns, but reaching the ocean makes the journey worthwhile," encouraged Iris. The winter holidays came. There was lots of snow on the ground, and the lake was frozen. Fish and Iris and the riverbank animals spent many hours skating, sliding down the riverbank on their bottoms, and making dragon sculptures. They even did a little ice fishing to keep in practice. Fish felt less anxious and more relaxed and happy. One very cold night, Iris and Fish had finished skating on the lake and were lying in a snowbank looking up at the sky. Millions of stars twinkled in the blackness. "Why are stars so bright, Iris?" asked Fish. "Because the dragons of the world have been looking after them," Iris answered. "What do you mean?" asked Fish. "Well, dragon legend says that the stars in the skies are the guiding lights for all of the world's children. Dragons know the secret of the stars and have been given the responsibility of keeping them from falling," replied Iris. "Do I have a star?" asked Fish. "Yes, that one peeking just over the top of the apple tree by the bridge. While you're away, I'll keep an eye on it for you. Good night, Fish. I'll be here if you need me," said Iris softly. The holidays ended all too quickly, and Fish went off to the clinic in the city. At first he felt a little nervous and lonely, but in a few days he had made friends with some of the other kids. He really liked the doctors and nurses too. They helped him understand why he was worried, frustrated, and angry at times. They explained that sometimes his brain was not working quite right. They said that the noises he heard in his head were caused by a chemical problem, and they said they could help him. Living at the clinic was not that different from being at home. Fish went to school and had chores to do. There was plenty of time to have fun, and Fish and the other kids often went skating and tobogganing in the park. Fish showed them how to make dragon snow sculptures. He thought of Iris often and missed her, so he decided to write her a letter. "Dear Iris, I really miss you, but I know people here are trying to help me. They say that when I hear noises in my head and get confused, it is a chemical problem in my brain. My brain is not working as it should, but they are going to help me. They are teaching me ways to relax when I get upset and scared. I showed them my dragon breathing. They were very impressed. Did you know it's the year of the dragon in the Chinese calendar? I figured it out, that I am a dragon child. I guess that's why we are such great friends. Anyway, people here seem to understand what I am feeling. I don't get criticized for what I say, and I feel less worried. I still want to be a great fly fisher. I really miss you. See you soon. Love, Fish. P.S. Are you taking care of my star for me?" It was spring, and the city burst into color. Tulips and daffodils were blooming in all the parks and gardens. The doctors and nurses felt that Fish was ready to leave the clinic. He was feeling much better and knew what to do when he felt worried and confused. The day came for Fish to go home. He felt sad about leaving all his friends at the clinic, but he knew that he would keep in touch. At the meeting a few days later, his parents and the staff had talked about how to help Fish's brain stay healthy. The doctors had sent reports about Fish's progress to his family doctor and a special education plan to his school. Upon leaving, they told Fish's parents to call for advice at any time and to let them know how things were going. Fish was so excited to be going home. He had missed his sisters and the old stone house on the hill. He had so often thought of the old bridge and the river that flowed into the ocean. He hoped that nothing had changed. With all his heart, he hoped that his special friend, Iris, would still be in her cave under the bridge. As they rounded the last bend in the road, Fish caught sight of the bridge. He saw the river flowing and the waves gently lapping upon the riverbank. The apple tree was covered with white flowers. The car rattled across the old bridge. Fish noticed tables with colored tablecloths on the front lawn. As the car stopped in front of the house, the front door flew open. Suddenly, a group of people came out crying, "Welcome home, Fish!" It was his family and friends, and even Dr. Tay and Miss Christie was there. Everyone was really happy to see him back home. Fish had a wonderful afternoon. There were hot dogs and lemonade. There were games and prizes. And best of all, Fish's parents had a special surprise for him, a puppy. Fish kneeled down and the puppy jumped all over him, licking him and wagging his tail. "Oh, thank you, I love him," Fish exclaimed to his parents. "Can I take him for a little walk?" "Sure, but come back soon for dessert. We have a cake to celebrate this special day," said his mom. Fish ran down towards the river. His puppy followed him close behind. As he came to the bridge, Fish whispered, "Iris, are you still there?" "Yes, Fish, I'm still here, and I will always be here whenever you need me. I'm so proud of you. I know it wasn't easy to go away to the clinic. You were brave, and you worked really hard there to get better. I have a special gift for you," said Iris from beneath the bridge. "Oh, Iris, I'm so glad that you're still here. What is your gift?" asked Fish. "Well, I've been looking after your star, and today I gave it a special shine. I've hung it as high in the sky, and it's much higher over the apple tree than it used to be. Look at it tonight," said Iris. "I see you have a new puppy. What is his name?" "I think I'll call him Star," said Fish, laughing because the puppy was tugging at his pants. "You'd better get back to your party," said Iris. "But remember, Fish, you are a dragon child, and this is a special year for you. Just keep believing in yourself and know that there are people that want to help you. And when you grow up and see a falling star, catch it, shine it brightly, and throw it into the sky as high as you can." Alright everybody, thank you for watching, and remember that you can practice dragon breathing if you are getting stressed. So if you feel that you are getting stressed, remember that you can imagine you are sitting against that tree that Iris was describing, and you can take slow, deep breaths and just practice breathing like a dragon. So I hope that helps you to imagine that, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Bye!